This video will be analyzing Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta and Matched Ultra Instinct Goku respectively. Starting off with Ultra Instinct, this guy only is really good inverse and he doesn't really have that much quantifiable AP feats for his own, but there are feats of others that he would upscale by a significant amount. So to get a gauge on Ultra Instinct Goku's power, let's start by talking about Battle of Gods Goku, where he very infamously was about to destroy the entire macrocosm alongside Beerus. As established in other videos, the Dragon Ball Z universe is an infinitely expanding space, and there are multiple realms outside of the universe that are around the same size as this infinite size space. Meaning that Goku, just in the beginning of Dragon Ball Super, could destroy multiple infinite size spaces. Off of this feat, you can get Goku by the start of Dragon Ball Super to around low multiversal. And this is important because he absorbs this god power into his base, meaning that his base will be around low multiversal. Think about all the training arcs and amps and Kaioken and transformations and boosts and Zenkais that he gets just by the time before Tournament of Power. And it's not hard to make the case that due to him upscaling low multiversal stuff by thousands upon thousands of times fold, that he would fall into a multiversal category in terms of AP. And that's just talking about his base. Goku and Ultra Instinct would go on to beat Jiren, who in the anime continuity is confirmed to be stronger than the Gods of Destruction. This is consistent as the Grand Kai said that Jiren, while suppressed, was stronger than anyone he's ever observed before. Grand Kai was present during the Goku Black Saga and he saw Infinite Zamasu and Vegito Blue. Vegito Blue having a statement that would seem to imply that he's stronger or relative to Beerus. So this God of Destruction level power is not inconsistent for at least the anime. So for some of the weird guys who claim that Beerus produced the low multiversal feat in the Battle of Gods arc, even though Goku was narratively implied to be his equal during that point of time and was able to nullify his strikes. But due to this Beerus level power in Tournament of Gods, you could argue that he scales to it automatically. But in conclusion, for this segment of the video, I got Super consistently around low multiversal to multiversal in terms of physical AP. Moving on to the speed now, which is a little bit more controversial than it has been in a couple years. Honestly, I got them at around infinite speed very consistently, with inaccessible to immeasurable being viable higher ends in my opinion. But infinite is just a lot more consistent. For starters, Dragon Ball Super upscales Z, which has infinite speed metas as I pointed out. But moving on to some infinite speed feats in Dragon Ball Super, as you know, the macrocosm feat during the Battle of Gods arc was going to destroy the macrocosm, and the shockwaves are going to travel from the entire universe, crossing into different space times as well. This is important because Beerus was able to react to the key explosion and nullify it before it could destroy these infinitely sized spaces. During this arc, Goku's shown to be on par with Beerus, so that's a pretty concrete infinite speed feat in my honest opinion. Goku and Vegeta are somewhat able to fight on par with Whis as they train with him. Whis is someone who can travel to the heavenly realm in 2 days, which is literally multiple infinite sized universe spaces away. So that's an infinite speed feat right there. Whis can also dodge Gogeta's instant transmission. It's kind of subtle, but you can see that he braces for it and dodges instant transmission, which moves at infinite speed. Even though I have to acknowledge Whis is probably much faster than the two, but at the same time, he's not like perception blitzing them. So you could get away with arguing that Whis is just way faster or deeper into infinite speed than Goku and Vegeta. But moving on to the inaccessible stuff, and this stuff mostly comes from the Goku Black Saga, where Goku was able to move in a space without time. We know the space has no time because the time ring linked to it was destroyed, implying that the present, future, and past were destroyed. And for some of the people who say that they traveled there via time machine, so it has to have some type of flow of time left, Pilaf states that he altered the frequency of the time machine to enable it to be able to travel to parallel worlds. So you could just say that it's a world without time. It's only a manga feat, I know, but they shouldn't be like that drastically different in power during the Goku Black Saga. Moving on to the more recent and goonish immeasurable speed arguments. No, you know what? I'm gonna make my own immeasurable speed argument. Aurelie is a character who can travel through time via raw speed. Beerus was implied to be able to one-shot her. Goku was able to fight on par with her. And there's a statement that says that Aurelie is probably stronger than Goku, which means more than likely, but it's not a yes. Also, seeing as how Beerus was going to one-shot her, and you can argue Goku's way above Beerus via the Tournament of Power, then you can get Goku to immeasurable that way. Hey, it's not the most concrete stuff, but it's a lot better than people using the afterlife transcending dimensions. Don't worry, I'll give Goku that scaling a little bit later. But let's move on to Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. Scaling Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta's AP is as simple as upscaling him from Omega Shenron, because Omega Shenron produced minus energy that was going to eat away at the entire macrocosm over time. We know it was going to affect the macrocosm because even the Kaio Shenron said that they weren't safe. I know what some of you guys are thinking, it was going to happen over time, but that doesn't really matter or scale to Gogeta because he was able to condense all of that low multiversal macrocosm ending energy into a single attack, and then Gogeta kicks it so hard that it explodes like really easily. Which, if you ask me, is an even better feat than the macrocosm feat from the beginning of Dragon Ball Super, as that was going to happen over the course of multiple strikes while Gogeta is casually swatting away attacks made up of the condensed energy that was going to destroy or eat away at the macrocosm. There's also a lot of statements in the anime and in guidebooks that say that Gogeta could beat Omega Shenron with a single finger, but this is kind of inconsistent as Omega Shenron was able to survive a Big Bang Kamehameha. Granted, it was a pretty casual one, but still. Gogeta pretty blatantly upscales anything that Omega Shenron could do, and using that chain of scaling in his feats, you can get him to low multiversal. Infinite speed as well, as the null energy was going to absorb and eat away at the macrocosm over time. Though I think it's implied that it was an urgent enough threat and it wasn't going to take like centuries or something crazy like that. Either way, it's still infinite speed. But seeing as how you can argue that the movies are canon to GT, as Goku says to Vegeta that he's fused with him before, and Cooler is shown on screen and Goku knows the dragonfish, which are only movie things. Being connected to Fusion Reborn would mean that you're connected to Tree of Might, the original Broly movie, and as previously mentioned, the Cooler movies respectively. This is important because if the Cooler movies are canon, Meta Cooler has a feat where he grabs Goku in the middle of instant transmission, which can be argued to be at the very least infinite speed. But seeing as how they were able to move and fight in a realm beyond time, you could argue that it's an inaccessible to immeasurable speed feat. I want to go on a small tangent about upscaling Gogeta's AP for a little bit, if you'll allow me to. Super Saiyan 4 Goku was able to do critical damage to Omega Shenron using his Dragon Fist. Omega Shenron is someone who can more than likely destroy the entire macrocosm in a single attack. So you could make the argument that Goku is somewhat in that ballpark, seeing as how you can injure him. This is important because Goku in the 100-year time skip, 100 years later of training, is still confirmed to be weaker than the Gogeta that we see in this arc. Unless Goku got some nasty garbage training, I don't think it would be out of the realm of possibility to upscale Gogeta to possibly even multiversal. This is a higher end for Gogeta's AP, and it's not as concrete as, let's say, Super Goku for example, but if you think that Goku trains as hard as he usually does, and considering the jumps in power that Goku was able to make in shorter time, then I don't think it would be that crazy to say that he could possibly be multiversal, if you believe that multipliers are valid for low multiversal characters, which is kind of controversial in itself, but it is what it is. But moving on to the nasty wank that would upscale both of these characters, what I'm going to tell you guys is a potential 5D argument that would upscale both Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball GT, as it hinges on the afterlife being 5D as it transcends dimensions. Now, I don't agree with this meta. I think it's pretty shaky, as you could argue that the context of it transcending the mortal realm just means that as a human you're leaving your body to enter the afterlife, as in you're transcending your physical body to transcend to this higher level of existence. But some people just say nah, it's a 5D construct, but for this video we're gonna say it's 5D. I don't know why people say that this is outer. That's not outer at all. Transcending time and space isn't enough for outer, but let's just give you guys 5D. This would upscale Dragon Ball Super Goku and Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta as weaker characters than Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, such as Super Saiyan 3 Goku could shake the entire afterlife, and Goku was just gonna destroy it in Super. So yeah, 5D for both of these guys. But does Heisei Godzilla have an answer to this fifth dimensional power? Moving on to Heisei Godzilla now, and last time I hinted at that low multiversal to multiversal wasn't nearly the peak of power at which you could realistically scale him at. Today we'll be exploring the higher ends at which you could realistically scale him at, and then upscale Burning Godzilla from that, as all of the higher ends scale to base Heisei Godzilla. So first, let's talk about how strong Burning Godzilla is, and establish why he's on a different plane of power than his previous version. For starters, Burning Godzilla is only confirmed to have become Burning Godzilla because of the numerous amps he was getting in quick succession, from the 200 meter amp to the Rodan amp to absorbing Space Godzilla's cosmic energy. Due to the rapid succession at which he was getting these multipliers, his body couldn't take it anymore, resulting in Burning Godzilla, which makes him much stronger, and it's confirmed to via many statements, and the form itself is just Godzilla overwhelmingly gushing out power. It also comes with the implication that if these multipliers were spread out more, he would have been able to endure and hold such power. It's just the fact fact that he was getting them so quickly. This is somewhat consistent as Biollante cells are confirmed to have infinite evolution. This should scale to Godzilla as Biollante is made of Godzilla cells. Destroyer is confirmed to be stronger than Space Godzilla and the strongest thing that Godzilla has ever faced over many statements. To start to quantify how much stronger he is than Space Godzilla in particular, we have to talk about his weaker forms, as his flying form is able to fight on par with Godzilla Jr. and injure him and endure blows from Godzilla Jr. Godzilla Jr. in this point of time is referenced to be as strong as base Heisei Godzilla, obviously before his burning amp. Remember this because his perfect form makes him 500 times stronger, meaning that at bare minimum, Destroyer is over 500 times stronger than Space Godzilla. But you could argue that he's even stronger than that, as he's confirmed to be stronger than Burning Godzilla at the start of the fight, being able to knock him out in a single blow. For some of you guys who don't understand how powerful that is, we have to talk about Burning Godzilla a little bit more. Burning Godzilla is stronger than he ever was before, meaning that being able to knock him out in a single blow would already automatically put him above Space Godzilla. But in order to quantify this level of power, we're gonna have to talk about how strong Burning Godzilla exactly is. As previously mentioned, Godzilla grows in proportion to the energy that he's absorbing. For example, you feed him a nuke that's 200 times stronger than the last nuke he had, he'll grow 200 times stronger. This is important because the multiplier that he got on top of the burning form is confirmed to be stronger than any multiplier he's ever gotten in the past. This would mean that it's over a 71 to 400,000 times increase, as that's the increase he got from Rodan, and it's over an infinite times increase as he was able to absorb Space Godzilla's energy. Let me say that again. Base Heisei Godzilla had no negative side effects of absorbing infinite energy, but the amp that he got on top of his burning form was enough to put him in meltdown mode, and Destroyer was able to one-shot this Godzilla in a single blow. As the fight progresses, Godzilla gets stronger, all culminating in him gaining the infinite heat ray, which is confirmed over multiple guides' statements to be infinite in power and heat, with some statements saying that it has infinite destruction power and that for every shot that Godzilla fires, it increases by infinity. These blasts are able to do serious damage to a Destroyer that could knock out a version of Burning Godzilla from just minutes before. And this isn't even taking into account that Destroyer had absorbed Burning Godzilla's energy throughout the fight, meaning that it would be a stronger Destroyer than the one that knocked out Burning Godzilla. And then you get Burning Godzilla with his infinite heat ray being able to do serious damage to Destroyer to the point where he tries to escape, just to give you an idea of how powerful Godzilla got by his peak in power in the Heisei era. Now that we've established that Burning Godzilla is in a league of his own, let's talk about the higher ends you can get for just base Heisei. Yes, that is right. All of the higher ends in this video even scale to Heisei Godzilla as seen in Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. Space Godzilla is stated to transcend the laws of physics. Seeing as how the universe is a 4D construct, you could argue that this would make him 5D. This is supported as Space Godzilla can manipulate and create supergravity, which is super dimensional in nature, meaning that at the very least this would support 4D or Universal Plus. But seeing as how we scaled the cosmology in the last video to low multiversal, this would mean that it's 5D. And if you think that this line of scaling is crazy, you can really be a goon about it, as even Showa Ghidorah's abilities are confirmed to be relative to what Space Godzilla is doing, meaning that you could argue 5D for even the Showa era, seeing as how there's a lot of statements that confirm that 84 Godzilla is stronger than his Showa counterpart who could fight on par with Showa Ghidorah. You could argue that Godzilla is 5D even in his first appearance. So imagine the gap between 84 Godzilla and Burning Godzilla as he's about to melt down with the infinite heat ray, and that's how many layers deep he would be into 5D, potentially infinite layers deep, seeing as how he has the infinite heat ray. But you could scale him even higher, seeing as supergravity can be linked to 6 to 11D, but we're not going to go that far. Moving on to speed now. Due to this 5D scaling, they would be immeasurable speed. Even without this dimensional scaling though, you could get them to 5D pretty easily, as like in DC Comics where the speed of light is actually measurable as it links to the speed force, you can make a valid argument that going at the speed of light would grant users immeasurable speed in the Godzilla cosmology as well, because Mothra Leo in his light speed mode is able to time travel, and it's even blatantly stated that the speed of light exceeds the speed of time, which would grant Mothra Leo immeasurable speed. This is crazy because in the same guidebooks, Space Godzilla is also confirmed to fly at light speed, with even some statements saying that he flies 3 times faster than the speed of light. Godzilla should scale Space Godzilla's travel speed and his light likely much faster than it because he can react to Space Godzilla's crystals, which make the trip to Earth faster than Space Godzilla does. But this isn't the only instance of immeasurable speed, as King Ghidorah in his mechanized form could time travel and is stated to transcend time. And if you want some cross-verse scaling, Godzilla is confirmed to be able to fight on par with Yamata no Orochi. The dragon in question could tag birds that are stated to be able to time travel and transcend dimensions, which would also give more credence to the higher dimensional Heisei tiering. Orochi himself can also create hyperspaces, so this would also give more credence to higher dimensional scaling in the Heisei era. It's important to note that the Godzilla that Orochi scales to is the post-Rodan amp, meaning that Godzilla doesn't even scale to Space Godzilla, much less even Burning Godzilla himself. But anyways, I'm kind of going on a tangent here. In conclusion, immeasurable speed is solid for the Heisei era. So with all that, who wins? I'm not even gonna front. Godzilla wins. His dimensional scaling is just much better, being much more specific, and not only is it much more specific, you can get it a lot higher, as super gravity can be linked to string theory, which goes up to like 11D. But at the lowest, it would still be 5D, as 4D constructs exist, and super gravity is considered extra or super dimensional when 4D is not. Goku and Gogeta only get that high off of a handful of broad statements, which don't really hold up to scrutiny in my opinion. Usually these scans are filled with phrases such as transcends time, above dimension, but so at face value I understand why people use this to argue extra dimensional like 5D scaling, but once you look into the context to truly understand what the scan is trying to say, then it can be argued to mean something much different. So inherently it's a lot more dangerous and not as concrete and safe to argue as like Heisei scaling, which is actually linked to something that is super dimensional. But now that I told you Godzilla wins, I want to talk about some of his downplay, because I made this channel to kind of spread awareness to the fact that even movie Godzilla is a beast, but with Burning Godzilla in particular, there's a lot of downplay surrounding him. Some of the most obvious downplay is stuff like if he died the planet would blow up and that's it, which we don't know, that's a theory, and even so that doesn't mean anything because attack potency and destructive capacity are not inherently linked. Like for example, in the Moro saga, we have Moro who's gonna blow up, and they say if he blows up, the whole galaxy will be blown up with them. This is like post-Tournament of Power, and we're talking about blowing up galaxies. It's nothing new to Dragon Ball at all, but you cannot sit here and downplay the entirety of post-Tournament of Power Dragon Ball to galaxy level, because that's just ignorant. And if we look later into the movie, a more credible source says that Godzilla's explosion would be a burst of energy unseen since the beginning of time. They literally compare it to the Big Bang. So Godzilla would have power that scales to his cosmology automatically, as we've established: infinite space, 4D realms, black holes with the previously mentioned super gravity. Yeah, you can argue that one of Godzilla's cells adapted to and absorbed 5D power, but I didn't go that route. But just because I didn't do that doesn't mean that it's not there. Also, one important thing that I want people to understand is that Godzilla harnesses his AP, meaning that you can't really downplay him off of shown feats, because Godzilla inherently is not trying to cause destruction. He's just trying to hurt his enemy as hard as he can. And this seems to be only a thing that people use to downplay Godzilla, because I know a whole bunch of verses and cosmologies with people that have infinite power or more, destroying buildings and fighting in towns, but it seems like only Godzilla gets downplayed in this way. So I don't want to hear his movie feats are inconsistent with his lore, because I promise you it is. And with that, we finished the video. Thank you guys for watching. I might not do Godzilla for a bit. I've given you 2 Godzilla videos with this one, and they're both like really long, so if you want to see more Godzilla, let me know in the comments. He will come back obviously, but for the next couple weeks I think that I'm going to do some other easier stuff. So if there's any verses or cosmologies or matchups that you want me to cover, then let me know in the comments. I read them all and they're really insightful. But until next time, how do you guys feel about sharks?